All right, hello and welcome. Today, we're putting on our detective hats for a little digital investigation. We're going to deconstruct this really peculiar website we stumbled upon, one that seems to be reporting the news from the future. So yeah, let's dive right in.
So let me just start with a question for you. Picture this. You're browsing online, you click a link, and you land on a news site. But, something feels off. Very off. This isn't today's news. It's not even tomorrow's. It's news from next year.
That is literally what happened to us. We landed on this homepage, and it was just this visual chaos of headlines. Blockbuster 2025, India versus Australia 2025, Golden Globes 2025. Just this wild mix of entertainment, sports, job postings, all of them dated for a year that hasn't even started yet. Okay, so the site is called Trending News Fox, and when we first landed on it, the date plastered right there on the homepage was November 9th, 2025. This is the central mystery we're going to try to unravel here. What on earth is going on with this site? Now, this is where it gets really interesting. This is the site's own mission statement. It sounds totally normal, right? Like any other news organization. Stories that shape our world. But how can you report on stories that shape a world that doesn't exist yet? This was our first huge clue that something was not what it seemed.
So to figure this whole thing out, we decided we had to do like a digital autopsy on the website's content. We needed to break it down and see what it's really made of, beyond all those crazy future-dated headlines.
And wow, this chart pretty much lays it all out. The content is super focused. Out of hundreds of articles, over 100 are tagged India. Then you've got sports and business right behind it. This gives us a really clear picture of who they're targeting and the kind of clicks they're trying to get. And the actual topics within these categories, it's just staggering. I mean, they've covered everything from totally predictable stuff like cricket matches and celebrity birthdays to really specific, tragic events like the Bilaspur train accident. They've got car launches, government jobs, religious festivals. They're casting an incredibly wide net. But as we dug deeper, we found it. The crucial link. The one thing connecting all this random content. The byline. Article after article, didn't matter what the topic was, it was all written by the Digital Desk Team, Kolkata, and edited by a single person, Saibal Bose. So this isn't some global network of reporters, it's a centralized content factory. And that discovery, that unlocks the entire mystery. This isn't about predicting the future, it's about predicting an algorithm. This whole thing is just a very, very specific strategy.
The engine driving this whole operation is something called search engine optimization, or SEO. To put it simply, it's the art and science of getting your website to the top of a Google search. And Trending News Fox? It's not really a news site. It's an SEO engine disguised as one.
So here's the playbook, right? First, they figure out what people are definitely going to search for in the future. Elections, movie releases, big sporting events. Then they just mass-produce these generic placeholder articles about them. They stuff these articles full of keywords, publish them with that future date to trick the system into thinking they're the first ones there, and then they just sit back and wait for the search traffic to roll in as the real event gets closer. And the irony here is just perfect. The website's official motto is fast, fierce, first on the story. I mean, they're technically first, but it's to a story that hasn't even happened yet. It's like they're planting a flag on digital land that doesn't exist.
This slide really just lays it all out, the two different worlds we're talking about here. Real journalism is about verification, accuracy, reporting on what happened to inform an audience. This model, which a lot of people call content farming, is all about keywords, volume, and anticipating what people will search for, all to capture an algorithm. They're just two fundamentally different games.
And the scale of this is it's breathtaking. When we analyzed the site, we found 478 articles published just for the year 2025. That's more than one article per day, written for a year that's still months away. That sheer volume is the whole strategy.
So, why does any of this matter? I mean, who cares about one weird website, right? Well, because this battle between the algorithm and actual information, it's happening on your search page every single day. And it has a direct impact on what you see and ultimately what you believe. The whole endgame here is to have their link sitting at the top of Google the second a real news story breaks. They're hoping that their pre-written keyword-stuffed placeholder is the very first thing you click on. That way, they get the ad revenue before real journalists have even had a chance to report the actual facts.
Now, this might all sound a bit cynical, but understanding the strategy is the absolute first step to beating it. So let's talk about what this all means for you and how you can spot these kinds of sites out in the wild.
Here's a super simple checklist. First, always check the date. That's the biggest giveaway. Look for those generic bylines like news desk or digital team. Do the headlines feel like they're just awkwardly stuffed with search terms? Is the article itself super vague and full of filler text? These are all major red flags that you've landed on a content farm, not a real news site.
Websites like Trending News Fox are just a fascinating, strange byproduct of our modern internet. They exist in this weird gray area between information and pure algorithmic gaming. And their existence really leaves us with a critical question to chew on. When the internet is so busy trying to predict and cash in on the future, who's left to reliably and accurately write about the present? Something to think about the next time you hit search.